All right. All right, we are back with another edition of Ranking the Albums. And man, we thought we should do a really big catalog since we haven't been on the air in a couple weeks here. So we're going to do none other than Damn Yankees. And it helped me do that.
Excuse me. I think we should call it Darn Yankees. I mean, really, what if there's children? Or at least we should have some kind of disclaimer out there that if you're going to swear.
So this catalog was Tom's idea. He brought up this choice to us, and we said, sure, why not? Because I thought it was definitely interesting because both albums are pretty much neck and neck in most people's eyes, I guess. So let's dig into the supergroup, the Damn Yankees. We got the two albums to talk about here. Should probably take about an hour, so we'll get rolling. Dave, how about starting us off on what you feel is your second favorite Damn Yankees album?
Yeah, for my second favorite, I'm gonna go with the debut. I put this on again today. I mean, side one is pretty radio friendly for me. It's not as heavy as I would like it to be. I mean, Coming of Age they're good songs, and I love the vocals of Blades and Shaw, and Ted's guitar is okay, but I think it really picks up on side two. I mean, I like the title track and Come Again and Pile Driver are great tracks, but it just doesn't rock as hard as the second album for me. So that's why I'm putting it at number 2.
All right. What do you got there for us, Tom?
Is it to me?
It's to you.
It's deja vu all over again. Yeah, I'm the same. I'd say the debut is the number 2, and for many of the same reasons that David said. But this goes back. I mean, when I get to number 1, I'll expound upon it a little bit more. But I mean, this is a great record, and these guys really play together well. And we didn't really discuss the band themselves, and so maybe my role here will be to remind people of where these gentlemen came from. So we had Jack Blades from Night Ranger, Tommy Shaw from Styx, and Ted Nugent from Ted Nugent. And then on drums, Michael's Cardellone, right? Is it Cardellone? Cardellone? He's a good Italian boy. He's into the Leonard Skinner now. But that sounded Jewish. I apologize to everyone for that horrible accent. But you got Nugent, who has the kind of the edge. You got Shaw that has that sort of Southern sensibility, even though, we think of him in Styx, he's from Alabama. He was more of a kind of a folk singer that became a rocker. And then of course, Night Ranger, just pure AOR. So I think of a song like High Enough, which Styx, could be performing, and they do on occasion. So very Styx-ish. But all of them have their influences on here. I think it's a very strong album, but not quite as strong as the next one that we'll be discussing, for maybe just for the fact that they had more time that they had actually spent together after doing the first one. And I don't know, I mean, do you know, Joey or David, if this was supposed to be a longer term project when they started out, or was this just supposed to be a one-off?
That's a good question. I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah, I've interviewed Ted once before, and he seemed like he wanted to carry on longer than just these 2 albums, but it just didn't work out scheduling wise. So,
well, they started a third, and in fact, they replaced. Mm-hmm. I think they replaced Tommy Shaw, didn't they, with somebody else? I can't remember who it was. I'll look it up while we're
Damon Johnson.
Was it Damon Johnson? Oh, yep. Speaking of Leonard Skinner, yeah, he's in Leonard Skinner now, and there were some songs that wound up on Shaw Blades, and some songs that wound up on Night Ranger records, and songs that wound up on Styx record, a Night Ranger record, that were supposedly for that third Damn Yankees record.
Yeah, I think a lot of the problem is that, these guys, since unfortunately the second album didn't sell nearly anywhere near what the first album did. So I think once, and you got to remember at this point too, this type of music was starting to get on the way out too, when they came out, really. By the time, the second album came out, it was already right in the middle of the grunge era, and it just, was not a good time to release an album, which in my opinion is probably the reason why things went the way they did. So everybody went back and revived whatever they were doing before, because there was more of a call for it later on. Because remember, Styx got back together like '96, which was a couple of years after the Damn Yankees broke up or whatever you call it. And then Nugent went right away back into his solo career.
Yeah.
And then Night Ranger took a little time to get back together. So it's just the way it all materialized there. But
yeah, those classic rockers love to whine about the grunge era, but I do want to mention the song "Coming of Age" because I didn't mention that, but that's one of my all-time favorites by the band. What a great way to kick things off.
All right. Well, I'm going to kick my number 2 choice off by throwing you guys the opposite way. Don't Tread, the weaker of the 2 albums, in my opinion. And, I like it. Don't get me wrong. It's a very good album. They're very closely ranked here. I just felt the first album was just a little bit better in my estimation, as opposed to, Don't Tread. Unfortunately, I just feel like, Don't Tread got a really good amount of airplay, at least up by us. There was a good handful of songs. I think I heard about at least 5 different ones at the time on our local radio station, which was more than the first album. But for some reason, the rest of the album, to me, the other songs on the album are more. There's a little bit more filler on this album, I feel, than there is on the first album. The first album, it's a little bit more solid all the way through. I find there's less filler on the first album by a couple songs compared to the second album. That's just my estimation. Now, with Don't Tread, I feel, Where You're Going Now, Silence Is Broken. And those 2 are the ones that really stand out for me the most. And then you got some really good songs like 15 Minutes of Fame, Dirty Dog. And then, I was telling Tom about this last week when we were discussing this, but then I discovered a song that I never really gave much of a chance. And I thought, man, this is a great song. So I'm calling this song the hidden gem of the album. That would be Someone to Believe. What a great song. It's something I don't know. It hides down near all the filler. That's why I never really got down there to play it, I would assume. And if you got the album version, it'd be like the side 2. So first side got a lot of airplay on the radio and is more solid than the second side in my estimation. We'll see what you guys have to say about that. But that's my take. Don't Tread, the number 2 Damn Yankees album, which went gold. So what do you got for your number 1, Dave?
Yeah, my number 1 is Don't Tread. Yeah, I mean, for me, Don't Tread on Me is a great way to kick off the album. I mean, 15 Minutes of Fame is good. I love the riff on Dirty Dog. I mean, Where Are You Going Now is kind of like this album's version of High Enough with the ballad, but it's still a really good song. I mean, I think overall, I prefer the guitar tone. Just has a little more bite on this album for me than the first album, so I think that's why I like it more. It's just the production has a little more oomph, so that's why it's my number 1.
What do you got?
Yeah, I obviously mine's Don't Tread as well. And sentimental favorite. I saw them on this tour. Great show. They opened up with the song Don't Tread. And Don't Tread is not just a great opener for a record. It's a great opener for a live set too. It's just really just kind of that bass line that holds it down. Everything that I like about Ted Nugent, everything I like about Night Ranger, everything I like about Styx is represented on this record. And I think that the first record, the side 2 kind of fizzles out. If this was these were more known as CDs, but if it was a traditional vinyl record, for example, the second half of the first album, I don't think is nearly as strong as the second half of this record. In fact, I think the second half of this record is some of the strongest material that they recorded, period. I mean, it's Silence Is Broken is a great song that I just absolutely love. Someone to Believe. I mean, Tommy Shaw's vocals on this are just incredible. This Side of Hell, I mean, that's just a straight ahead rocker. Yeah, I mean, it's a great record. I mean, I just think it's a little bit stronger. I think the production's a little bit better. it seems like they're even though they were a bit formulaic, because they had the big hit with High Enough. And I think Where You Going Now is a little bit too close to High Enough in terms of stylistically. But other than that, it's a great record, and I love it. I could listen to this thing all day. Well, I'd get sick of it after half a day, but you know what I mean.
Was that at the Rochester Auditorium Theater? I'm guessing you saw them at.
Yes, with Jackal as the opening act, and it was the second loudest concert I've ever been to in my life. And I mean it was loud, and he did the Jackal guy. What's his name? Billy Joe Dupree or something. I'd never heard.
Jesse James Dupree.
Jesse James Dupree. I knew it was something, but I never heard of the guys, and I mean, that was the first band that really made me feel old, because Jackal comes out and they're really loud, they're really obnoxious. And then they did the chainsaw solo with an actual chainsaw. And I mean, into the microphone, chainsaw into the microphone. Oh, that was just horrible in terms of loudness. Brilliant in terms of execution. I still think that's one of the most creative things that any band has ever done live. And then that the microphone stand was a shotgun, so he shot it off. Now Damn Yankees, at this point, they were still shooting a deer mid-show, so they would have a deer decoy or whatever come behind the stage, and Nugent lit a flaming arrow and shot it in the middle of the show. And I think I saw a video of one of the later shows, and he was shooting Saddam Hussein with an arrow, but it was just such classic Ted. And the other bit of trivia is that this was when they were still doing the shtick that ultimately got Tommy in trouble with Dennis, where Jack Blades was making fun of the song Babe, and Tommy Shaw was making fun of the song Sister Christian, basically to say that they were wimpy songs. And Dennis took huge offense to that. If you've ever seen the Sticks Behind the Music episode, they confronted each other on an elevator in, of all places, Syracuse, New York. And, eventually were able to mend fences. And Tommy said he'd take that out of the show. But it's weird because in as much as I understand Dennis being offended because it was his song or whatever, it was all in good humor. I don't think anybody really took it seriously that, Babe was a wimpy song. I mean, it was, anybody that was going to a Damn Yankees show obviously liked Night Ranger and Styx. It wasn't like they were a bunch of metalheads,
But Babe is a wimpy song. I'll concur on that.
Come on, you need to stop.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad song. It's just wimpy.
How's it wimpy? It's a great ballad. It's a great power ballad. It's got a nice guitar song. I mean, you just Keep on Loving You, a wimpy song.
Yes.
Can't Fight This Feeling. Well, we can all agree.
That's even wimpier there. All right. So that's
Dennis
Tom's.
Dennis DeYoung, if you're listening, I'm on your side on this one, kind of. You and Tommy need to get back together, though.
All right. So now my number one, obviously, is the first album, the one that went double platinum, which proves it's a better album. Thank you. I rest my case. No, but
yeah.
I mean, obviously, the two big ones that the radio took to their thing there was Coming of Age and High Enough. Excuse me. High Enough was obviously the big one that got all the big MTV videos and everything there. I mean, I would say that's the song that really put them on the map, and that's my estimation. But I feel that Come Again is a very underrated song. That's probably my favorite song on the album, just because it's a Tommy Shaw song, number one. And number two, it just feels like an overall better song. And if you remember, Jack Blades did that song, which was weird, during a Night Ranger show that I actually saw a couple years back. It's pretty cool because usually they would do High Enough, but that was the first time I've ever seen Night Ranger do the Come Again. So that was pretty cool. And then, Tell Me How You Want It, another Shaw song that's pretty cool. Mystified, Runaway, it's a very solid album. I just felt that this one was just a little bit stronger than Don't Tread. So that's why we do these rankings, because we all have our own personal opinions on these. And then it's like my opinion, and then there's Tom's and Dave's opinion. They're always like two peas in a pod.
We're very similar people, as you can see. You know,
Except he's got hair. So I'm just kidding.
wow, I got hair. Mine just gravitated down to here. That's all.
All right, buddy. All right. So there's a take on the damn Yankees. Anything else that either one of you want to add on this super group?
I would like to say that this episode here marks the first time in the history of the three of us doing a ranking show that we have managed to rank an entire catalog in under 7 hours. So congratulations to both. Let's give ourselves a nice round of applause.
Special thanks once again goes out to David Hens from his website Music and Other Drugs, as well as Mr. Thom Jennings from the Niagara Gazette and a million other papers and resources there, as well as his own Papa Tom's Rocking Bagels. Check them out at papatoms.com.